Hey, hello, hi. So this would be technically my first official video on YouTube, although I have a few that I have just kept as private links, so you can only access them through links, and those are just my videos that I posted, that the videos that I've recorded in the past, and I have posted on YouTube as just a folder for myself. I might open it up to future later on if I feel comfortable, but they're essentially just me talking about media back in the day. It was 2023, yeah. So this video would be the one I'll be posting. Why now? Because again, I think 2025 I wanted to expand to YouTube. It just feels like a natural progression of my creative expression. The thing that was holding me back was that I did not. I realized that when I come to YouTube, that I would want to utilize the platform to its fullest extent, and that would imply me doing editing well, me adding voiceovers, me adding the text and information and all the other things that are required to make a good YouTube video. And I would want to do that. Me making a video where I'm just sitting in front of the camera and hitting record and speaking is not the kind of videos I just want to keep doing, although they would still be part of it. I want to maximize and provide express my uh, art media in the most optimal way I can. And right now, so this is just going to work as an extension to my podcast that I have on Spotify. It's the Strawman Show on Spotify. I just talk about essentially philosophy and other stuff, really, what I want to talk about. And right now, I feel like I do well there because I think I have found a way to optimize it there. But here, this is an extension of that. So right now, this video is essentially me kind of giving a backstage dive about what happens in the process of scripting the episode. And I just thought it would be interesting. Right now, this is more of a personal blog for myself than it is for people, but I think posting it kind of makes it a lot more professionalism. Like, I would not be slacking as much. Right now I've just started scripting. I've not even like officially started scripting. I'm just brainstorming and coming up with ideas. So I thought, okay, right now would be a good time to record it and see the differences that is in right now and the episode I actually post. So with my podcast, I'll be very honest. There isn't a lot of scripting. Like, obviously, like, I don't script every word, every segment. Initially, my scripts were just ticking off the topics that I want to talk about. Like, do I talk about them? So essentially, there was not scripting there. It was just me making sure that I talk about everything I want to talk about. I think I work best in improv when I'm improving, and I kind of let the ideas flow freely there and let them decide the route and course they want to take. What happened is, funnily, in the recent chapters, uh, I kind of messed up some points because I was focusing a lot more on the flow. So I think now I will, in my head, kind of imagine the points. So right now, in this moment, we are not thinking about flow. We're not thinking about how everything is going to go. We just want to think about everything that we can think about the topic that is at hand. So we are scripting for the episode number 7, and it's going to be titled "Are You Scared of Being Perceived?" or something slightly quirkier than if we can. If we, I the problem with so the problem with title also becomes that I think a lot of people click on the Spotify link or not, depending on the title. Like, a lot of times I talk about Enneagram, although I think is a good podcast episode. It kind of suffers from the niche narrative of it. And since people don't know what Enneagram means, you need to make people curious, but not too uh, alienated from the topic. So again, I would want to keep the title a bit simpler so that it's easy to get into and be hooked by, but also interesting enough to not be disinterested in. But anyways, how did we come to this topic? So usually I have a grander narrative whenever I'm writing. Like, if I'm writing episode number 5, I already know what I'm gonna do for episode number 6, 7, 8, like this. And even right now, the thing is just the narrative I have does not follow the timeline that I would want it to and what I want for the future. So essentially, I was in a position where I was not sure if I wanted to follow the grander narrative, and my friend Yash, Hello Kitty Jet from Twitter, by the way, shout out, asked me when I'm going to make an episode on "Are You Scared of Being Perceived?" And honestly, firstly, I cannot deny the bias I have for Yash, because he has been literally a day one supporter of whatever I've done, and I don't think I would be out here making episodes if obviously his contribution and positive criticism to my thread about Albert Camus' The Myth of Sisyphus definitely did greatly impact my confidence in freely expressing myself. So already there was that I was obviously going to talk about it. But regardless of that, regardless of it was suggested by Yash or not, or how much bias I have for Yash or not, the topic itself was very interesting to me. Like, yes, like him asking, are you scared of being perceived, kind of just completely opens up this box of Pandora for me. That like perception really, like, I've always wanted to talk about perception, because I have always thought about perception on a grander scale. Like, I've thought about perception on a personal level, what people perceive about me, or how I perceive people. Every time I try to perceive someone in a certain way and it's being proven wrong, either by the circumstances or themselves, it kind of shakes me on a personal level. It fundamentally, it just makes me feel like my tools or my abilities to perceive someone are faulty. And it's just not the becomes about the person, it becomes about me, because I feel like on the level that I am, like right now, like the value I put in for my own skills or whatever I want to do, I greatly value the skills of perception, because I feel like we are in a generation where the most important evolution that we are going through, obviously, is the social evolution. I think me and Charvi also talked a lot about this. So social evolution, like right now, we are evolving biologically. We always will keep evolving. But this way we have structured a society, we do not care about the biological handicaps anymore. We have biologically handicapped people everywhere, and they are doing great. Their handicaps are not holding them back to the degree that they would have if it was not for us and our technological advancement. So right now, the only thing that is differentiating from really successful people, or really standing out people from the people that are getting cut down, is the social skills of them, is the how well they are in the social hierarchy. And that comes, then your perception not only becomes an added prefrontal cortex kind of attribute, it becomes something that is very fundamental to you as a person and your survival in this social hierarchy, in this social jungle really. So I have always thought about it a lot, like regardless of the knowing the social evolution thing or not, because I think on a personal level, I think it has gotten me to a lot of places that it would not have. It has made me make a mark for myself that would not have existed if I did not have the kind of spectrum or extensiveness of perception. That also kind of creates a whole different set of problems. That is, since you are perceiving, you are also being perceived. So kind of addressing that side of, like, the cons side of this perception was always intriguing. It became an intriguing prospect for me when he mentioned it. So since he asked me the question, I was like, obviously I'm going to talk about this, and I think I would want to make that my next episode. So this episode is going to be about perception. It's going to be about how I perceive things, about how people perceive things, and how much they are scared. I think I would want to divide it into input, process, output, as in what happens when people perceive you. That would be the input, or how you perceive people. Then the processing, how you feel about people perceiving you and their perceptions of you, and how you feel about your correct perceptions or wrong perceptions about people. All the processing and the output, how it changes you. Like, a lot of the times, the positive criticism, the negative criticism, people perceiving you rightly, people perceiving you wrongly, again, like, you perceiving people rightly and wrongly, how that affects your behavior, how that affects your thinking. All these, I think I would like to study on the track of this. And I was doing all of this. All of this. I was talking to all of people. I was talking to Ishwari, I was talking to Saj, I was talking to Tappe, I was talking to Sairaj, I was talking to Swan and Asad. I was asking them, are you afraid of being perceived? Like, I want to talk about perception on a very deeper or fundamental level, really. And in the middle of all of this, I read a short story from Charvi. She sent it to me a while ago. I just forgot to read, and I read it, and I realized that obviously it's a tragedy. It's supposed to be a tragedy, but in the middle of it, there are elements of horror. There's element of anticipation, and although the element of anticipation exists there because of the extremely well paced and tightly conducted words, really, a lot of the horror of anticipation is compounded by and confounded in my knowledge about how she writes, my knowledge about how she perceives things. Like, my perception of her perception is adding on to the art really here. And that kind of made me realize that the whole different dimension gets added to this when you add art and artist and the receiver. Again, I would want to talk about extensively about the death of author, and I guess in a very weird way, the revival of author. That is a concept that's a phrase I use a lot when I say something or write something, or people, even I say it's in my podcast, and although I meant one meaning in it, but when people perceive it, they're like, oh shit, they know a few things about me, and maybe I might have meant something subconsciously. They kind of added on to it, like, oh, you said this because this was this. And although yes, obviously it is reading, sometimes called reading too much into it, it probably is, but it also kind of implies that you are coming to those conclusions because I have showed a pattern of behavior in the past, or a pattern of thought process that kind of show you my values, show you my conclusions that I can arrive to. So you using that to kind of add on to me, like it is essentially like I'm plagiarizing from my past self, and that is a beautiful way where I'm getting revived, even though I died. Since I've said it already, you revive meanings, you breathe lives into my meanings by the information that you have gathered from my past works, and that kind of works into a way of revival of author. That's also something I would want to talk about in the podcast episode. But yeah, I think this is what happened. Like, I had a very normal, stable trajectory going into this. I had extremely thought everything out, but just I read the story 15 minutes ago, and it completely threw a wrench into my thought process about this episode, and in a very positive way. I don't say wrench in a way because where it's bad. It threw wrench in a way where it made me aware of something that is such a fundamental, important component of this for me. And I realized this because I was just reading a short story from Charvi. Like, it had nothing to do with, I was not even thinking about scripting then. I think that kind of also made me make this video, because I also would want to remind myself that a lot of your creative process that you're doing or you're writing really here, not just only comes from you actively trying to script things or actively trying to find stuff. Just make sure you're exposed to a lot more things, perceive better, and that way you can think better and articulate it better, and you can repackage it in a beautiful, more impactful way for the people as you want to do. So yeah, this was not only a first introductory video to my channel, it was also what a first introductory video to my own creative self for 2025, and I hopefully continue this. I will probably, but yeah, that was about it. I think I'll talk about the episode or post episode, maybe a video I can do. But yeah, that was about it. Think well, be well. See ya.